Blake Lively developed some feelings for Justin Baldoni. Ryan Reynolds is now abusing his wife. That's scary. That's narcissism.
Ryan Reynolds is having a complete breakdown at the moment, after learning that Blake actually affections for Baldoni from the beginning.
He's basically saying, I will burn down my entire house. I will burn down your career.
And to be honest, it must hurt. Discovering that your wife had a crush on somebody else the whole time, but perhaps Ryan ought to look into. Also the mirror.
Lively a beard? Like, is she there just to produce kids and to give him that family image?
I'm not claiming that Blake is a saint or an angel. Undoubtedly has her own problems, but come. Naturally, a woman with a beard or an abusive marriage isn't really a living situation. Her greatest life.
They're constantly making gay jokes, trying to kiss each other on camera.
Regardless of how flawless the image is and Blake appeared to have some serious problems. Definitely not the type of one you quarrel over. Regarding the dishwashing.
Observing is essentially a ticking time bomb, a timer on Ryan Reynolds.
Similar to, imagine how difficult life must be with an individual who has been revealed as possibly gay. That's most likely the reason. Blake has been married for 8 years, yet the connection between Lively and Justin Baldwin was far beyond a professional one.
Is Blake Lively has nothing to do with what is happening. Her husband has come undone. Blake Lively developed some feelings for Justin.
As the filming comes to a close, strong emotional connection formed between, implying that Lively's emotions exceeded the minimum requirements for their functions.
Has happened to her. She has, been in love with Penn Badgley from, Gossip Girl, then she got with Ryan Reynolds.
This sentimental matter, albeit not extensively, was mentioned but soon turned into a significant issue of concern after it, to illuminate what at first appeared to be merely. Later, another Hollywood romance was shown to be much more intricate, adding more levels of insecurity and treachery and a contentious court dispute to the mix.
All these people, they're on set and their job is to sell that they're falling in love. And a lot of times, as we see with actors and actresses, it actually happens. And there's no question in my mind that Blake Lively caught real feelings for Justin Baldoni.
And hold off if you believe I'm merely inventing this on my own. Reconsidering. Blake, he said in the documentary, Justin Baldoni vs. Lively, which was broadcast. Mia Shaker was bluntly pointed on Monday. Discovered that the former co-workers possessed what seemed to have a friendship prior to Blake. Alleged sexual harassment against him, which, naturally, he denies.
He claims civil extortion, defamation, and that all of this really is about her wanting to have control.
As she claimed that, Baldoni went beyond some limits that, who have been closely monitoring the case, imply that what actually happened was an effective affair.
This isn't just a fluffy celebrity feud. The actual story is, I think, a lot darker and a lot more complex.
Lively wasn't inevitably a harassed person. Rather, she was a lady who had captured genuine affection for her co-star. That appeared to capture Baldoni and Reynolds unexpectedly.
The thing is why I say this is not a real lawsuit, and Ryan Reynolds knows this, is because he's got everything on camera, okay?
The litigation that ensued, including all of its legal, in many respects, wrangling is the fallout of this affectional bond and affair, which developed into something much messier, more than anyone could have imagined.
As this whole idea is like a sexual harassment. She invited him to her penthouse and he was holding her baby. The guy that sexually harassed, you're not having him to your house and letting him hold you.
As the specifics of it began to emerge in their connection, it soon became evident that Ryan, the part that Reynolds played in all of this, was far from the media frenzy's passive. Regarding the case wasn't limited to the claims made by Blake Lively or Justin. Baldwin's reaction was motivated by the insecurities of Reynolds.
Now, in my view, is Ryan Reynolds is now abusing his wife.
Once, Reynolds learned of his spouse's emotional devotion to Baldoni, which led to his consumption. believing that his ideal family image was in danger because of this emotional relationship that was so innocent for. Reynolds felt betrayed by Lively, causing him to snap in a manner that many would contend that it was out of proportion.
He's using, this is like litigation abuse. He is trying to inflict pain. Again, this is my perspective, pain and punishment because he has come undone, realizing that she had some sort of like an emotional affair with Justin Baldoni.
The part that Reynolds played in the drama was obvious. He became the engine right away, behind the legal action, but the public centered on the claims of harassment. Many insiders and analysts think the actual reasons behind the legal dispute: Ryan's ego.
The way this lawsuit describes is like they were riding into the night together. She was like laughing until she was crying. And again, he's got this on camera. The way that he just dropped that scene on camera. So Ryan knows that there is.
Rather than considering it as, Reynolds is a real victim of harassment, utilized the legal dispute to communicate a message to Lively and Baldoni. He would not put up with anyone who threatened his life's flawless facade.
Everything that's being claimed here is
Reynolds' approach to this whole circumstance implies that his justice wasn't the main issue, or even, in actuality, it was keeping him in control over his spouse and his meticulous, cultivated public image.
And the fact that Ryan is now trying to get a gag order as opposed to ending the loss.
The legal action turned into a means for him to precise penalty for Lively and Baldoni, as though wiping out the sentimental affair might in some way put things back in equilibrium of authority in his partnership.
Means that he has not yet come to terms with his ego. That's scary. That's narcissism, right? Like that is not a relationship you want to be in, because he's basically saying, I will burn down my entire house.
What's more, it is concerning because Reynolds' need for control continued after the legal contrast with his public conduct have been just as cunning. Reynolds has been presented as the affectionate, protecting spouse, yet in the background, it appears that his possessiveness was a ongoing stress on his marriage.
I will burn down your career, and I will burn down my career, and I will also inflict pain upon our children.
His desire to regulate Blake's behavior, viewed in the media as well as inside their union, has been disturbing. Reynolds' willingness to take a chance, everything related to his work and public image, and even his marriage in order to preserve power over Blake, illustrates how, to his fears,
win it. This is an unwinnable lawsuit. The biggest loser in all this, by the way, is the New York Times. Like, how stupid. I mean, it must have been a phone call for they have to settle this. There's no way that he lost things. Justin Baldoni has real damages.
And get some rest. Confident that Blake Lively is not totally. This saga is innocent, but to pin all it is unreasonable to blame her, even though she might have fueled the emotional conflict. It's evident with Baldoni that Reynolds, the core of deceptive methods, is this whole situation.
Make sure that Justin Baldoni could never work in Hollywood again. That person was Ryan Reynolds.
Candace Owens has never tended to be reserved, and her interpretation of Blake Lively and Ryan's drama, Justin Baldwin and Reynolds, are not exception. According to Owens, the whole litigation pertaining to Lively's emotional Baldoni's affair isn't what it seems to be.
Not a Blake Lively fan. I think this snowballed and it spiraled, and she basically just had to let her husband, whatever it was that he saw, and he finally caught on to this quote unquote emotional affair. Again, I'm giving my opinion, having now read the documents. It sent him into a kind of rage.
While many people observe the court case as an effort by Lively to take back command of her story, according to Owens, Ryan Reynolds is the actual creator of the complete. According to Owens Reynolds, the scenario is utilizing the legal action not to defend his wife or protect his family, but to provide for them. His ego.
Because all I care about is harming Justin Baldoni, as opposed to maybe trying to work through whatever it was in your relationship.
She thinks that this lawsuit's principal target is Justin Baldwin, not Blake Lively, and the deceptive tactics used by Reynolds are all. Owens, about ruining Baldwin's career, demonstrates Ryan Reynolds as an individual who is extremely insecure and ready to go to any lengths to protect, even if it means damaging his image. She asserts that other participants in the process. Reynolds planned a large portion of the media craze with stores such as the New York. It's time to promote a story that supports using his own uncertainties
to catching feelings for Justin Baldoni, because that's what happened here. She caught feelings for this. She was never, in my view, sexually harassed. None of this happened, and they were getting close. That's what happened, and Ryan flipped a switch.
The piece in the query that chastised Baldoni turned into the foundation of Reynolds' commercial, revealing Owens' relation strategy. That Reynolds group was mostly responsible for the campaign of smears that damaged the manipulation of Baldwin's reputation, the use of the media to manipulate the public view of Baldwin's participation in. According to Owens, Lively is not a happenstance but a purposeful action to ruin Baldwin's career and defend. Reynolds is quite worried about his brittle ego due to the fact that Blake Lively. Additionally, according to Owens, Reynolds' motivators go well beyond the immediate legal dispute. She contends his behavior is the result of intense emotional insecurity that stems from outstanding private matters that he's never discussed.
Avoided every fact. That means they gave Justin Baldoni hours to respond, and yet he had film that could have disputed, and they didn't give him the time to produce that. They hit send on it because they were doing someone a favor.
Then the lawsuit is more than only keeping Blake safe or removing her name. It's a mask. Reynolds' personal weaknesses, public image centered on the charming, everyone's favorite clever actor is far from the truth about his personal life. Owens indications that Reynolds might be attempting to conceal something more profound that suggests that love is not the motivation behind his acts for Blake, but by making an effort to authority over a life that he can't keep up.
Very concerned for the circumstance that Blake Lively.
Why is the true question here? Blake Lively is a successful actress who apparently ideal wife would fall for someone like her co-star Justin Dawn. Hardly knew prior to filming, yet it concludes with, some people believe that we are the solution. Observers are found in an old Blake's emotional attachment pattern to the men she collaborates with.
On to Ryan Reynolds. And I wanted to play that clip because I started to do research, digging more and more into Ryan Reynolds. And it is very disturbing how he treats his wife. Now,
from her connection with Ben Affleck over the capturing the town to her heart, relationship with gossip Penn Badgley, Blake, the girl, has a history of growing deep affectional ties to her co-stars. This was a trend in conduct that has surfaced during her career, indicating that her emotional ties are intimately associated with the professional connections she makes on set.
in my opinion, is no victim. It has been shown over and over that she is a terrible person. She is a bully. She appears to be a raging narcissist. I mean, there is enough out there to show that she deserves no...
Blake and Justin's emotional liaison. Baldoni, then, is a component and not an exception of a more extensive pattern in her life. But what? What distinguishes the circumstances, though? The circumstances in which it transpired. Blake was formerly wed to Ryan Reynolds, a man who presents himself as a loyal. The family man appeared unflappable.
And she went along with her husband to do all of the things that they've tried to do to destroy Justin Baldoni. But what Candace hit on in terms of he doesn't care if he destroys his wife. He doesn't care if he harms his children. He doesn't care. This man is focused on his ego.
But behind the scenes, Blake was appearing to be in a union that failed to satisfy her emotional needs.
And everything that he says about his wife publicly is absolutely humiliating. People have taken it as jokes. And I played a clip in the beginning before that. This man is near 50. And this is the type of things that he's saying and doing to his wife. But it gets worse. And I plan to uncover all of
her function as some people claimed that a beard was the woman who creates the illusion Imagine an ideal household while her spouse, possibly investigating his own personal cravings and perhaps even battling with facets of his sexual orientation.
Why would he hate his wife so much? I mean, if my husband talked to me or made these jokes about me publicly, I just can't even imagine.
The idea that Blake was handled like although not new, beards are becoming more popular when we take into account her dynamics. Association with Reynolds there has had a feeling that something wasn't entirely satisfied with their union. In spite of their look, Blake, frequently in the spotlight alongside Reynolds, appeared to assume the part of the ideal wife, cheering him on at award ceremonies and in the press.
A beard? Like, is she there just to produce kids and to give him that family image? Because once you start to add it all up, that's the picture I...
But her connection with Dawn showed a clear. In contrast, this man treated her with genuine love, making her feel appreciated and comprehended in ways that Reynolds apparently couldn't do. This emotional bond, but it wasn't. Sexually suggestive behavior revealed a lot about the character of Blake's connection with Reynolds.
I don't think he's jealous. I think he's possessive because she's his prop.
The affection Blake has for Baldoni were more than just looking for a partner. To express her feelings to them, they were additionally a reaction to getting married. Maybe that was more about keeping a picture rather than genuine emotional closeness. How the general population views Blake and as the IT couple, Reynolds concealed a deeper, more intricate reality.
Called from the beginning that Blake Lively was lying. I knew that this was another fake Me Too. I knew she was Amber Heard 2.0. I said it from day one since I heard about this case. So do not take this as I think, oh, she's some poor victim and men are bad and Ryan Reynolds is bad. No, we're talking about this particular case.
Years have passed since Blake's marriage, in which she was supposed to Hollywood and the ideal wife and mother star, but upon encountering Justin Baldoni, she discovered a person who didn't consider her a symbol, but as someone who witnessed, neglected to attend to her emotional needs. Like a simple addition to his public persona, the ability of Ryan Reynolds to precisely control his public image, and the notion Blake had discovered, someone who gave her a genuine feeling, was an immediate danger to his authority. Attacking was the next course of action.
Not just, the evidence that he doesn't care. Why?
The media's lawsuit, the campaign of smears and manipulation opposed to Baldoni weren't only about, in order to protect Blake's honor, they were about regaining Reynolds' authority over a circumstance that he was unable to understand or regulate. Blake's affections for Baldoni were not only a consequence of, in Hollywood, they were an example of her profound discontent with a life that had been primarily planned by someone else.
Does he gush about his love for Hugh Jackman more than he does his own wife?
Jackman and Ryan Reynolds always possessed a playful brotherly, a partnership that has delighted fans years, but take a deeper look at their exchanges provide a picture of anything far more intricate. While Reynolds has not concealed his appreciation for Jackman's speech about him stands in stark contrast to he has a chilly public persona about Blake Lively, his own wife.
Is about Hugh Jackman is like he gushes about his love for him in a way I have never seen him do for his wife. It is weird.
Reynolds and others are not the only Jackman make jokes or participate in friendly teasing. There's a clear depth of their love, which causes I wonder whether they have a deeper relationship, rather than merely companionship.
Deadpool and Wolverine co-stars Ryan Reynolds, 47, and Hugh Jackman, 55. These are middle-aged, grown men, not high school, not college boys playing around, okay? Old men, essentially. Not old, but grown. Shared how their 17-year friendship is similar to a man.
Reynolds has frequently waxed poetic about referring to him as a genuine gentleman and claiming that he's among the kindest individuals he's ever encountered. but it goes beyond simply kind remarks. There's a sincere fondness in his voice when describing Jackman, with a tenderness that's his remarks were less obvious. Regarding Lively,
This what 47 and 55-year-old men, do you feel as though, even with friends you do business with, that your friendship is like a marriage?
Reynolds has spoken things that are loving concerning Jackman that have transcended. Typical friendships imply a connection. Something is more powerful, maybe more than the majority of men would have with their companions.
I've never heard or seen any man talk like that, ever.
4. Reynolds, for example, once said that the highlight of Jackman's career, and that their friendship signifies to him, these remarks are more than just statements of appreciation. They suggest a degree of emotional bonding that is not frequently connected to simply companionship.
Reynolds has been married to Blake Lively since 2012, while Jackman recently split from his wife of 27 years, Deborah Lee Furness. And I forgot my point earlier. There have been rumors of Hugh Jackman liking men for years.
Why is this dynamic? What's even more fascinating is how Reynolds discusses Lively's public remarks concerning her have frequently been quiet, even a little disengaged, particularly in contrast to his comments regarding Jackman's contrast between Reynolds' discussion of Jackman and his spouse have produced rumors that his connection to Jack is more complex than he first appears.
Something is bizarre. And we already know how it goes on in Hollywood, where you have to pay to...
They've shared a lot of personal jokes over the years, and Reynolds has jokingly even called Jackman his bromance, making lighthearted remarks regarding the closeness of their relationship. There are many of flirtatious exchanges, undertones that make many people question if something more profound is happening.
I think the secret sauce to a long-lasting Hollywood friendship is not too dissimilar to having a partner or a marriage. Reynolds told Jackman during their interview.
The public's increasing interest. Reynolds' sexual orientation isn't only because of his flirty demeanor. Conversations with Jackman, it's additionally regarding his actions toward his wife. Blake Lively and Reynolds both portray an picture of a devoted father and spouse. Lively's public persona is frequently chilly, even contemptuous, in contrast to his. Jackman's relationship is full of warmth, love, and a degree of transparency. It is seldom, if ever, observed with his spouse.